Hey everyone, it's me,
Hello.
James, and this is
Brock.
and you're about to watch episode 27 of the Rebel Scum podcast. It's all about this bad boy, Shadows of the Empire. You can see right there on Legends. But before we start, we wanted to just say something. Over the past weekend, we crossed 1,000 subscribers.
Wow.
1,000 of you subscribed to our channel. Hundreds and thousands of you watched our videos weekly. It's fantastic. It means a lot to us. We just wanted to say thank you very much. We appreciate everything. We appreciate the comments, the good and the bad. They're both.
Yeah, and Mom, stop commenting. That's not nice.
It is, but we appreciate everything. Thank you very much. We look forward to doing this every week. And now, hope you enjoy our podcast, our video podcast on
Shadows of the Empire.
by Journey's own Steve Perry.
Not that Steve Perry.
Hello, scumbags, and welcome to another episode of the Rebel Scum podcast. Now, before we get started, it looks a little weird. We don't know where Brock is.
I'm here.
Where are you?
I'm in the secret location.
Brock is in a secret location.
Yes.
We'll cut to you in a second. Right now, here we go.
There I am.
Whoa.
I am in a different location, not in the same room, slightly to the right.
Anyway, this week we're joined along with
Andrew, Fantasia,
and
Rob McDonald.
And the reason that we're all here is we're getting together for a very special occasion. The occasion that Daryl once again is directing this episode. He's behind the camera.
Hi,
Daryl, can you throw up camera 3
Lewis.
quick for us? Yeah, and just and look at that! For those of you that can't figure that out, that is Shadows of the Empire for Nintendo 64. And we decided that with the title of The Last Jedi coming out, had nothing to do with it. we're going to do an episode on Shadows of the Empire. It was a big deal back in 1996. I remember it very, very well, almost too well, I would say, when it came out. But Brock will be playing.
Yep. We are live streaming this B.
It is. He looks like he's having a great time. So,
Arguably, probably the best non-canon thing. Like, I will go into depth about it, but like, I remember when this game came out. This is my original 64. Can you hear me playing? That's
we can see you
I
playing
hear
now.
those sound effects.
This is a hexagon nightmare.
Now,
But
Brock,
anyways, back to James.
Brock, I will give you a large undisclosed amount of money if you can beat this game by the time the podcast ends.
It's all the levels are unlocked. So does that mean I just have to play the last level?
As long as I don't see you entering the cheat code, then yes, we're fine.
Wampa Stompa is already introduced.
All right, so we're all very excited about Nintendo 64's Shadows of the Empire. It was one of the original Nintendo 64 games, came out, I believe, that December. So anyway, Nintendo, look at this. This is a Ron McDonald brought this. It's not Legends. That's how old this copy is. What year did you got this in?
It would have been 96 or 97.
96, yeah, probably 97. I had the hardcover of it. An uncle of mine gave it to me. But before we're going to get started on Shadows of the Empire, which I think we're all excited to actually talk about this, because I'm telling you right now, there are things that are pseudo canon in here, and I think more is going to be made canon out of this thing. But before we get started, for the last 2 weeks, Brock and I have been doing an underrated character segment on this show. Last week we settled on Bodhi Rook and Admiral Piet, and the week before that was Dexter Jetster and Admiral Akbar. There's always an admiral involved. Will there be one this week? We don't know. But Corday, we're coming for you. I promise you at some point Corday will make the list.
So died in vain, James.
So what's going to happen is in the end of a couple of weeks, we're going to have, Brock and I will have 15 characters that we believe are underrated in the Star Wars universe, and we will bring it to people at Star Wars Celebration and talk about it. So this week, Brock has chosen 2. I have chosen 2. Andrew Fantasia has chosen 1. And Robert E. McDonald has chosen 1 as well. And at the end of this, we're going to have 3 moving on. So, Daryl, who's first on our full-page board extravaganza of underrated Star Wars characters? There he is, everyone's favorite, Wes Jansen.
Ooh la la.
Good shot, Jensen.
Good thing I'm playing this level right now.
I was going to say, James, if you found these clips, you found a very good shot of Jansen.
Ooh
Yeah.
Hey-oh, good night, everybody.
This is actually the only picture of Wes Jansen you can find online. Daryl, throw up Brock's video playing for everyone.
Oh no! I just lost it.
He lost because too much pressure. Anyway, Daryl, come back to us, please. So Wes Jansen, he shows up in Hoth in the Empire Strikes Back, and he is mentioned in both the Legends version. What camera am I on, Daryl? The Legends version. We're not even on camera. It's the Legends version and the original version of Shadows of the Empire. Wes Jansen he's an X-wing pilot.
Yeah.
And Luke says in Shadows of the Empire that he's always trustworthy and he's always a reliable guy. Andrew, your thoughts on Wes Jansen? Is he underrated or is he a little too rated?
Well, he's rated enough for this list. I'll tell you that
Yes.
right now. What do we know about Jansen? He made a good shot, and that's it. The only person in history who has really praised Wes Jansen was, Luke and Wedge. So now we want to kind of give him the love he deserves. I think he's a good candidate.
Rob?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Amongst like X-wing pilots, you can't make. He's not a bad choice at all. I mean, maybe Porkins, but the thing I guess what it is that in like the actual canon movies, he actually known more as a snowspeeder pilot than anything. Not even a pilot. He was the gunner.
Well,
so,
in Shadows of the Empire, he's
Shadows of the Empire, he does actually get to fly, so that is good for him there.
Brock, how do you feel playing as Wes Jansen right now?
It's great. I just took out an AT&T, Verizon,
Oh, yeah.
I think you're actually Dash Rendar in this level
I think
because he fought in Hoth.
Because you're never
Yeah.
Dash Rendar. Right?
Yeah, well,
because like Luke is talking to you,
yeah.
even though you're doing
Unless you
things
put it in
that
a
Luke
sheet code, then you're
does.
somebody else.
Whoa.
All right, Daryl, can we get the next full page going? Let's see who chose the next one. I have no idea who it is. I don't know who you guys. I don't know who you guys chose, even though I put these graphics together. Down. There you go, right there.
What's
Next,
it gonna be?
it's a big one.
Oh,
Let's transition this one to Brock's
Boom,
pick.
boom, boom,
IG 88.
IG88.
IG 88. Brock, why did you choose IG 88?
Well, I've already said that most of the bounty hunters are going to be in this list. And looking at the stuff I have coming up, all of the bounty hunters are going to be in this list. So IG88 I chose for this one specifically because he's in Shadow of the Empire, the novelization, and in this video game that I'm playing currently.
And he's impossible in this video
Yeah,
game.
I think it's a fun character because they make him like in the expanded universe. They really made him like a lethal like character and sort of not. I don't know if important, right? Yes, I took out the AT&T. But also like he's got it's funny because if you know the backstory of how they design IG88, he's literally just a water vaporizer or a moisture vaporizer from Tatooine.
Wouldn't it be cool though if there was a new canon story where you find out that IG88 actually is that, and somebody
that'd be amazing.
and Anakin repurposed him
Oh my
into a bounty
god!
hunter? This could happen. Rob, you don't really like IG88, so I'm going to go over to Andrew. No, Rob, tell me about IG88.
I love IG88. He's actually on my shirt right here.
Oh,
you probably
what?
can't see him, but he's right
You got that one. That one's awesome.
Yeah. I love IG88. I think he's, in terms of bounty hunters, for me, he's the most underrated bounty hunter amongst them all. Because, I mean, we talk about Battlefront all the time, James, and you got Dengar represented, you got Bosk represented, you got Boba Fett represented. No IG88. I would have loved
you missed
and
Greedo.
I missed Greedo.
Greedo's
excuse me.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You
Well,
could be Dengar in that?
Greedo missed too.
Yeah.
So. I love IG88. He's just a cool bounty hunter. I mean, we were talking about him in the game. He's probably the loudest walker out of all characters in the entire thing.
Definitely.
You could hear him coming from a mile away. But I love IG88. He's really cool. He's really lethal, like how Brock said in the expanded universe.
Yeah.
I hope that they expand on that a little bit more, like in something, whether he shows up on Rebels or something like that.
I don't think he is in Clone Wars, but I feel like there's an actual like droid like him at some point.
Yeah,
that
part
they
of like
use.
the group when Sasaj Ventress and like some of the other ones. I think. Yeah.
It's just
When
like,
they did those episodes.
it's funny how like he's just basically pipes, but he's menacing in some way. So yeah. So
Andrew,
that's it.
Andrew, tell me why you don't like IG88.
When you said that Anakin built him, I'm just picturing this deleted scene where it's like,
Yippee!
C3PO, he's a protocol droid to help him off, and then I'm building this thing to kill Watto with it.
And considering how thin IG88 is, I don't know what he looks like underneath like his armor or semi-armor.
Whoa,
Jeez.
Well, we will
I'm
build
too excited about IG88.
we find out a lot about him in this game, and he's a mean mofo. But I think he's one of those things where it's like, He looks cool enough to be an action figure, but I don't know if
Yeah.
I'd want to buy it because it feels like it would fall.
This is
over
a
easily.
pretty badass picture right
It is
there.
a very good picture.
I mean, mostly he just stands behind Boba Fett, right?
Yeah.
He just stands behind. All right, Joe, can we get the next full page up and find out who? I don't even know whose pick this is. I'm hoping that it's it is. It's the one that I was hoping. This one was chosen. Oh no, wait, this is not what I thought. Well, this is a great one anyway. This is Rob McDonald's pick. Rob, tell me about Dash Rendar.
Well, I mean, I couldn't think of a more poetic character to talk about in terms of an underrated character in this episode, and that is this character right here, Dash Rendar, right
Nice.
there. You know, he's one that has been said by Pablo Hidalgo, like you mentioned it, James. He's slated to never be in canon.
I would say never say never, but yeah.
Yeah, never say never, absolutely, and that's what I'm even going to mention here. That I mean, he gets flack for being kind of like Han Solo light, but in a way, like, you know, what we're going to talk about a little bit. To me, I even think that he takes what Han Solo was in the first movie to another level. Like he goes even further, like in terms of you really have to pay to get his services. Like stuff changes throughout this book, and again, we'll get to that later. But the cool thing about him is that he could literally be the opposite, like the coin flip of what a Han Solo could be. So, you know, maybe not adapt as to everything that he's done in these books in terms of it's very much like Han Solo, and in a way change that and make him join the canon as a slightly different one. Maybe even make him not join the Rebels or in some way, or, you know. Anyway, those are all what if questions. But regardless, to me, in this game, he was literally the badass character. Like, you play as him, and he's just like, whoa. Like, you know, he's doing all this stuff. He's got rockets on his little tiny gun. Crazy.
All right, Brock, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Who's a better pilot, Han Solo or Dash Rendar?
Ooh-wee.
Camera's on you.
Well, I know
Okay, wait.
I'm trying to get my camera time as much as I can on this episode.
All you're doing is playing this game.
Well, I mean, we could easily say
Maybe
it's
it's
hard
graphics.
to answer that because Dash Rendar is basically just a amalgam of Han Solo. That's not the right word. But then to make it simple, I'd be like, who flew the what's the thing?
Outrider?
No, like the thingy with the 12 parsecs.
Kessel Run?
Kessel Run, thank you. Sorry, it's hard to do two things. At
I would
once.
I would love. If
So
they
there
showed
you
it.
go. Han did it, and Han wins.
But we don't know if Han did it. The
Oh,
ship
yes.
did it. I would like to find out if Han Solo did the Kessel Run or if it was Woody Harrelson or
Oh, yeah.
or Lando Glover. I would like to
Lando
know.
Glover. He
I
hasn't
think-
read the script yet, by the way.
Well, here's one of the
Really?
interesting...
Yeah.
They started shooting yesterday. Solo Cup and Han first shot was on the thing. What were you gonna say, Ron?
One of the interesting things I looked up was when I was looking on Wikipedia, and I was looking at the Outrider, and then if you look up the Millennium Falcon as well, under their top speeds, it shows that, I forget what it was, it said like, it was either 1,150 kilometers an hour or something like that was for the Outrider, and the actual Millennium Falcon was 1,050, so it was actually showing 100 kilometers, 100 miles faster as the Outrider. So... It's claiming,
but the Outrider,
that's claiming that the Outrider's faster than the Falcon.
yeah. Well, guess what? I'm gonna go on Wikipedia. And I'm gonna
Well,
write down.
I'm just mentioning it's something that they have.
I'm pretty sure Bosk wrote that entry in there.
Bosk could have
Oh,
been.
he
Quantum
would.
Error
That's classic
exposed
boss.
that,
Andrew, why is Dash Rendar not as good as Colonel Meebus?
I'll tell you exactly.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
I read this for the first time recently for this.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
That shocked me.
It
It shocked me. Yeah.
It shocked me too after a while. The biggest contribution Dash Rendar makes is his shoulder pads. And the second biggest contribution he makes is that he gives Shadows of the Empire, the book, an emotional center that it doesn't have without him. He's like, you know, everything else is just, hey, Luke's having fun, Leia's doing this, Xizor's doing that. But Dash is kind of the guy where you feel bad for him. He's got the biggest arc in the book, and he's barely even in it.
many Bothans died.
Many.
Yeah, he's in it surprisingly less than you would think about, judging from this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the toys that came out in that era. Like, Dash Rendar was a huge thing in 96, 97 for Star Wars. I mean, look at this guy. Yeah, he's Han Solo.
Watch out for that Wampa, bro.
Oh, I
Daryl,
just
who do
took
we-
him out.
Who do we got next? While Brock's taking out Wampas, who do we...
What?
Full page board in this one next. The next one, I believe, is one that Andrew Fantasia chose, and this one actually was out of left field, and I think you did that on purpose. I think you did the left field on purpose.
There he is.
Bring him up.
Colonel Meebur Gascon, my boy.
Now, does this have any relevance to Shadow of the Empire, or are you just putting it in there?
0, Brock.
Okay, cool. I just wanna make
And
sure.
before anyone says in the comments, but he's not Legends. We know the show is just called Legends because
Yeah.
we're talking
Good
about
imitation of Andrew, by the
because
way.
we're talking about Shadows of the Empire. We're not talking about this Shadows of the Empire. We're talking about this Shadows of the Empire,
With the Legends
which
banner.
is Legends bit. Look at this. You can't even see it. It dissolved. Are the backs of the book same?
Leia got covered on mine because of the UPC code is in front of it.
Oh yeah, look at
Isn't that sad?
You know,
Yeah.
UPC.
They had to
yeah,
make
you
room
know
for the
who
Disney
this is.
logo on that one.
I like the back of this one's actually a nicer cover. They went purple with the new one, and anyway, who cares? Anyway, so talk about this guy because I think that the hardcore Star Wars fans are going to be like, oh, yeah, but for
Yeah.
people that don't have any idea about the Clone Wars, because there are a lot of genuine Star Wars fans that do not watch the Clone Wars
And that's
or
understandable.
Rebels. I mean,
It's,
people don't want to watch cartoons. That's just how it is, and I mean, they don't even watch the prequels. So tell me, who is this guy, and why is he underrated?
Meebur Gascon, he's this little dude, he's this alien, and he's a colonel in the Clone Wars. That's it. He's just a colonel in the Clone Wars, and he's in this 4-episode arc in Clone Wars. He's not even in the whole show. He's in 4 episodes, where the whole thing is just he goes off with R2 and a couple other droids, and they go on this mission together, and they end up saving a lot of people's lives. But the reason I picked him was because he was the character I underrated the most. He was the character I underestimated the most. The first time I ever saw those episodes of Clone Wars, I hated them. They were like my least favorite. I was like, really? We're going to spend 4 episodes with this guy just yelling at R2 units? Like, seriously? And so I was rewatching the show lately, and I kept, thinking in the back of my head, I'm going to have to sit through those 4 episodes again. They're coming. They're coming. And I got to the last season, and I got to those 4 episodes. And I watched them again. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Let me just plow through them, and then I can get to something that has Mace Windu in it. Whatever. So I get these 4 episodes start happening. Oh, Brock, what did you do? These 4 episodes start playing out in front of me. And this guy, Colonel Gascon, I don't know why, but he just gave me all the feels. My heart was just melting for this little dude because his whole thing was he was this pompous, arrogant little guy who was treating the RT units with disrespect. And you realize the reason he's like that is because he was turned down from being in the military by the Jedi because he was deemed too small. They literally did what Yoda said he should never do. They judged him by his size. They wouldn't let him go out into the field. So when the RT units are criticizing his directions as a leader, he kind of blurts out, he's like, look, this is my first time, okay? And they're like, oh my God, you're a colonel and this is your first time in the field? And he's like, yeah, this is the first time they'd ever let me go out on a mission. And the more you get to meet this guy, you start to like chip away at him and you see his vulnerabilities. Like he's at a point where he's starving, and as an Italian man, when I see a person who wants food, I can't help but feel for that person. So he's literally famished. He's outside this restaurant. He's like, what am I gonna do? I haven't eaten in weeks. And he has to eat garbage out of a dumpster out back, and I'm just like, this poor little man. And by the end of it, he's like, this minor spoilers, this doesn't end up happening.
Daryl, we're talking about Colonel Meebus.
Colonel Meebus, my boy. Yeah. This doesn't end up happening, so it's a minor spoiler, but like they're stuck in a situation where battle droids are shooting at them, and it looks like it's the end, and the droids are like, sir, come on, we got to get on this ship, and he just looks at the droids, he's like, save yourselves, and he's willing to give himself up. Luckily, he gets away, but at that moment, I was like, okay, dude, this guy needs to be on this list.
Okay, Brock,
Yeah.
Colonel Meebus, does he deserve to be on this list?
I think so. I didn't mind that story arc, and there's a lot of Clone Wars stuff that I'm like, no, thank you. But like, yeah, I can see why people wouldn't like it because I mean, one of the R2s is pink and it's called QT. I'm like, okay, those 2 on the nose. It's cool. I think. Oh no! Oh God!
I think what you said though about how the Jedi judge the book by its cover talks what I said last week on the thing when I rewatched the on VHS when I rewatched the shows, how it shows that the Jedi Council is actually not as pure as they, I don't even know as they think they are, but as they should be, and it kind of gives you another layer of Anakin why you would see Anakin not totally believe in the Jedi ways.
Absolutely.
And they bring it up in the Obi-Wan and Anakin comic, which you've read, right?
Yes.
That's a huge part, and Anakin contemplates it. And then Obi-Wan's even like, well, maybe I won't be part of this either.
Yeah, and that's before episode 2, and Anakin's already like,
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, and I think that I have this feeling that part of the arc is something that Lucas had, but he never really fulfilled on the screen. It never came across. But he knows, like Filoni knows, the Clone Wars people, like all those know. And I think Disney, Lucasfilm, the new regime, they know, I think. And then that's why they're throwing that in. Rob, Meebus, yes or no?
I mean, in terms of underrated characters, I definitely think it fits under the banner for sure. I mean, like, I'm sure you're not the only one that likes the character a lot. I mean, I've never even thought of him as like the dramatic type of character. I remember I watched the episodes, and there's a lot of those types of episodes that are purely comedy, and that's what I thought it was, at least on first viewing. I was like, okay, the droids are comedy, they're fun, and Meebus was fun too, because he was just this, like you said, a really tiny character along with these droids, and they're literally, I think they're fighting off the battle droids, or is that what it was? Or
Yeah,
were they fighting off something else?
They were trying to steal something, and then they got shipwrecked, and it was just like
the shipwreck thing. Yeah.
problem after another.
Yeah, the shipwrecked one. Yeah, I remember they were being shipwrecked, and they fought off like creatures or something like that.
Yeah, they're on this planet that looks like purgatory. Like
Right.
they're literally just in the middle
That's
of nowhere.
right, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Daryl, who's next?
Suspense.
Da, 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 da.
Luke Skywalker isn't. No.
Yeah. Skywalker.
Yeah, who is
Gurry.
this?
Purry.
From Gurry?
Gurry.
Is it Gurry or Hooey?
I think it's, well, how'd they say it in the thing?
It was Gurry. Yeah.
Gurry, that's how I
Is she a
read it.
character in the book?
Yeah. Have you read the book?
Yeah, when I was 12.
Well, now you're not 12. Anyway, Guri is a fantastic character. She is, look, Daryl, throw it back up. She's a robot assassin who they can't tell that she's a robot though. Nobody knows that she's a
Yeah.
robot, and the Dark Prince has made love to her also, and she can fulfill
Implied love.
she can fulfill his needs, and he won't even know that she's a robot. So that's I pick Guri because she had a prequel comic. Was it a prequel comic or a sequel comic? There's a comic about her that they made
Was it
later
a
on.
squeakquel?
It was a squeakquel. There is a comic about her that
Especially
came
when
out.
Xizor was done with her.
Yeah, well, he was done with a lot of people. Rob, do you like the blondes?
Well, I mean,
Never
like,
tell me the blonde.
she was. So she has been in other stuff aside from Shadow of the Empire. She has been.
She had a comic. I don't
She,
know.
she was in a comic. Yeah. Like,
Meebus
she was-
isn't anything other than Clone Wars and Rash Rendar.
Road Rash.
For now.
3D.
Rash Rendar.
No, yeah, she's a fine character. I mean, she's pretty much Xizor. I keep saying Sixor, but that's how what I called him when I was a kid. But Xizor's right hand woman. Like she's pretty much the one that he relies on to like get stuff done for him.
Oh,
So,
yeah. that's right.
yeah, I mean, she was a cool character. She was a fine character. She served her purpose.
Did she? I think she should serve more. Andrew?
Yeah, Guri was awesome. She was the Sonny Corleone to Xizor. She was like his muzzle's right hand. She would get shit done. She would crack skulls and she wouldn't even care about it. The fight with her at the end and Luke was one of those moments where I'm like, God, I really wish this wasn't a book. I really wish I could see this happening right now. Because she was like this superhuman character fighting a Jedi, and we still really haven't gotten to see Luke really bust loose out on film yet. And I feel like this would have been that moment. So I wouldn't mind seeing more of Guri because it's implied she got away.
Yeah, well, there's a comic.
Yeah.
Daryl, I'm not going to even talk to Brock because he didn't remember who it was. Who's next?
No, I do know.
What do you have to say,
It's
Brock?
like she's like the she's like if Xizor is Lex Luthor, she's like Mercy. Remember?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for Lex
So,
Luthor, yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's it. She's
All right,
a sex bot.
Next, Daryl.
Fembot.
She's the
Oh,
original.
there he is.
She's speaking of Xizor.
Yeah.
How do they say it in the
Xizor.
Xizor?
Xizor, yeah.
I'm going with Xizor.
Running
Sounds
with
more. It
Xizors.
sounds more cutting.
Yeah.
All right, Prince Xizor. He is the most handsome man in the galaxy, the leader of the Black Sun. He is a criminal, but not a criminal,
Yeah.
and he wants to kill Luke Skywalker. Brock?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's like Thrawn. Like he was a cool character in the expanded universe. So like, I mean, he's basically a gangster. He's basically Jabba, but he can walk around faster.
And he speaks with Jabba.
Yeah. And he's trying to, like I was rereading like Wikipedia and what have you on like, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. But yeah, he's cool. He's like eccentric too. So he's very much. I'm really glad I thought up that example because he's basically Lex Luthor. It's like, I will kill you.
Yeah.
Why? For gain.
Everybody's in agreement that Xizor is cool, right?
Xizor is cool.
We're all in agreement. Daryl, who's
He's
next?
Xizor,
Daryl's just watching Brock play.
yeah.
That game is like,
I was watching it too. Once he got this level,
Brock,
boss fight.
I'm really
Daryl's literally
screwed.
like, I just want to play that game too. Nope, that's not it. Is that all of them? Oh my god, we went through all of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. So to narrow it all down, we have Colonel Meebur Sanders,
Meebur Gascon.
Meebur
Meebur
Gaston from
joke up earlier, didn't you?
Meebur Gaston from Beauty and the Beast Part 2. We have Dash Rendar, Prince Xizor, Xizor. We have
Xizor, yes.
Guri, Wes Jansen, and who's the other one? Oh, IG88. IG88, obviously. So we'll go through. We're going to come up with 3 of them. 3 of them are going to make it on to the next round. Well, look, Daryl's a huge fan of IG88 and Dash Rendar. Rob, let's start with you. Give me your 3 finalists.
3? Okay, I'm gonna go.
Okay, Brock. I guess we're going to start with you.
Oh, you said Rob.
He's
Sorry.
so into the game.
Go. You first, Brock.
Okay,
Go for it.
Number 3, Dash Rendar, because this would be sweet to see on TV. Even if they rewrote the whole thing, whatevs. Then Prince Xizor, and I'm gonna go Wes Jansen because I love X-wing pilots.
Ooh. All right, Rob. Let's move over to you.
Sorry, Andrew. I'm not sorry.
Damn you, Brock.
Are we ordering them here? Like in
I
a
just
certain
did 3.
order?
Just give me 3.
Well, I'll just say 3. My 3 would probably be I'll go with Dash Rendar as well. Xizor and IG88, of course. I gotta go with IG88.
Andrew.
In no order, I'll go Meebur Gascon, but he is.
Oh.
I'll go Wes Jansen and I'll go Guri.
Ooh.
Okay, so the finalists this week are going to be Wes Jansen. Surprise! That surprised the hell out of me. When I picked him, I was like, "This is a throwaway." Wes Jansen's going to move on.
So you choose him as well?
Yeah.
Oh.
Who chose Xizor?
I did.
Yeah. Xizor and Dash got 2 votes as well, I guess.
Yeah, and those 2 are also going to move on.
Okay.
Well, unbroken. Sorry. But in 2 weeks, Brock and I can
ate garbage, James. He had to eat garbage from behind a restaurant.
All right, but in 2 weeks, Brock and I can revive somebody to come back and do it. So that is this one. So let's move on to the topic of the day, where Brock has been. Derek, you throw up on the little screen what Brock has been doing. It's been coming up. You've been seeing it down there.
Brock, tell us what you're doing.
Brock is playing.
Saving the galaxy and
He's
not
saving the galaxy.
destroying this ATS.
You got to shoot its bum.
I really-
No, I know, but like the funny thing about this game, it's so old that like you don't have control of your aiming.
Yeah.
It decides where you're shooting. You shoot in that direction and wait for it. But because it's higher up, I have to get up there, and I think he's blown up all my boxes.
I think there's a better way to do it. If you hold down, I think it's Z. Hold down Z, and then like there's a.
There's a
button.
way to aim. Yeah, I think it is Z. Yeah.
Hold down Z, and then you can tilt up with the stick and shoot him in the bum.
Oh, look at that!
Just
Well, look at what he did.
That is his weak spot.
Hey, in the comment section, let me know if any of you have ever beaten this game or played this game. I would really be interested in knowing that. Okay, so let's move on. I want to talk about the Shadows of the Empire now. Not just the game, but also the book. Look at this thing. This is the Secrets. Where did you get this, Andrew?
I found that in a used bookstore. It's the only used book
When?
I've ever bought in my life. About 9 years ago, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 10.
And you never read the book.
I read about halfway through it, and what I found really funny about it was it talks about everything as if you've never heard of it before. It's like it brings up the video game, and it's like, in a video game, you have to perform a series of objectives and then reach a boss monster and destroy the boss. Like, it talks in the most like layman's terms possible. But yeah, I want to read it now that I have absorbed this book, and now that I actually know what Shadows of the Empire is. I want to really dig into that and see what they have to say.
Yeah.
Looks like there's some concept art.
Throw that up, Daryl.
Game over.
Daryl, show everybody what happened. How Brock is a failure.
Ah,
Too late. So anyway, yeah, this looks like a very interesting book. I just pulled up a page and I lost it now, but it was hold on. Oh, I lost it. It said Dash Rendar, person most likely to have mom tattooed on his arm. There it is right there. This is what you want to see when you read this book. I don't know if that's even visible or not, but there you go. That is interesting to me. And that looks nothing like Dash Rendar either. That's what's even more
That's
interesting.
like homeless Dash Rendar.
Yeah, but the thing that's cool about this book, and you just read it, and Rob, when you've been listening to the audio of it,
Yeah.
and Brock, you've never read a book in your life.
never.
These are all Brock's books. They're not even like anyway. But the thing that's cool though is Imperial Center, aka Coruscant, and this is before the prequels. It's before Coruscant was a thing on film, and they have that in there. And this book and the whole thing with this Legends book and this New York Times bestseller by Steve Perry. This one's just Steve Perry.
And it's not the Steve Perry from Journey, which really made me upset.
Right? Don't stop believing. It might be.
I thought it was.
But anyway, so the thing that's cool though is this was used to gauge the popularity of Star Wars to see if they could do the prequels, to see if George Lucas could do it, and it was called at the time a multimedia event. Because if you're not aware, Brock is playing the game, and from the game he is playing as Dash Rendar from Dash Rendar's point of view. This book follows Dash Rendar's, but like Andrew said, he's not a main character, but he's in there. He's sprinkled in. Whereas you follow more Luke and Leia and Lando. And Lando's great in this book.
I don't even know if Dash Rendar had a point of view chapter, did he? I don't think he did.
No, he shows up. He's there,
yeah.
And then there was a comic book which focused heavily on Boba Fett, and then you saw his perspective of what's going on during all of this, and there's some other things that go on as well.
That is so cool, and I did not know that about this until you told me.
It's the coolest concept.
Because I'm reading, and I'm just like, so James, when is Dash coming into the picture? And you're like, no, idiot, this is how it works. and you laid it out to me, and I was like, oh my god, that makes it so much better. And now I want to see them do this again.
Yeah, Andrew, you can't let him talk to you.
I'm pretty sure I was nice.
If they do this again, then will Jansen get his own point of view?
He damn well does.
I think Jansen's got. But this is the thing that canon kind of. It might be too hard with canon because then you have to worry about where everybody is. But this is free range, and this is when they announced that that Disney bought it, and they were like, all the books are thrown in the trash. I'm like, fine, I don't care. That's fantastic, because, I mean, look, the Thrawn trilogy is great, but you have to tell a new story.
Yeah.
All I can hear is you have to tell a new story. So it's like, okay, you don't want to tell stories that happen after Jedi because we already know what happens. But so then they're like, Clone Wars still exists, and you're like, that's fine. But this is the Clone Wars of the original trilogy. That's what this is. This is the Clone Wars. This is what we wanted to see. This, and it's actually rereading it now. I read it. When I went to Cuba, I read 50% of it. 3 hours I read on the thing, and I was 50% done. My Cabot told me that. But the thing but it's an entertaining, enjoyable book, and you can argue that Dash Rendar is just Han Solo all you want. He is, but he's that character. You can argue that every bounty hunter is the same.
Yeah.
That every Sith Lord is the same. That every Jedi is the same. So that's how I feel. I think. Andrew? Do you think this should? Do you think there's a place for this in canon?
Parts of it, yes. I think. I mean, we know Black Sun is canon, which is the mafia that Xizor owns.
Yeah.
That's canon. His species is not, though. Oh no, his species is. We see them in Clone Wars, so they could be. I think that the concept of something happening between Empire and Jedi regarding the search for Boba Fett, the hunt for Han Solo, all that stuff, I think that's absolutely going to take place, and they're definitely going to sprinkle something from this in, but just knowing how they've operated so far, I think it's going to be a little different, and hopefully weave in some more connections to what exists now. So maybe more of something about like the Dameron family, because they're kind of around, and Kyber crystals, because now they're more in the limelight. So I think they're gonna mix and match and do what they've been doing so far and give us a little bit of both. Maybe. Mm-hmm.
Does Snap's mom survive out of if anyone hasn't read Life Debt? Mm-hmm. I can't remember. Does she survive Life Debt?
She died like 9 times in the first book.
I know, that was the worst thing ever. It's like every chapter, and Nora Wexley is like, Nora died, and then Nora woke up.
I think she's alive because she was like,
I feel like if you kill her,
hooked up with Wedge.
Yeah.
Kind of little thing with Wedge going.
So if she could be
9
cool,
lives.
she could be cool as, I guess she'd be too young. She'd be cool as a new Dash Rendar.
Yeah, that would have been around the time she left.
Yeah.
Like,
wait a minute. Yeah. I think actually she might make some. That would be kind of a cool.
Yeah.
Because I guess they've kind of alluded that Dash Rendar won't be, because they make fun of him a lot on Twitter, and it's unfortunate. But Rob, anything from this that you would like to see canonized? Is that a word, canonized? Is that how they say it?
It is. Yeah. That's the thing.
Okay. Good.
I mean, they could canonize the story absolutely, like in some way.
Outrider is canon, by the way. It's in A New Hope. Yeah, it's in a special.
No, I know it is, but they've also I've heard some people
whatever Carillion Freighter.
I've heard some people from Lucasfilm just claim that it's just like, hey, that's the just that model and not necessarily the Outrider.
Okay, well, guess what? I have just nicknamed it the Outrider.
All right, it's canon officially.
That's classic Outrider.
Anyway, something that I was mentioning when I was talking about Dash specifically, like earlier, in terms of him just being kind of like, in terms of the way it starts, and you're talking about his arc in the movie, Andrew, the way it starts is he does something that Han Solo never did in any of the other ones, is that they pay him to do a job at the beginning, and he leaves them behind. He's just like, hey, screw it. You never paid me to shoot. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of like a little bit more heartless even than Han. So that was the cool thing that I enjoyed about him, and a different like character trait that it was. Like, and especially the swing that he makes throughout the entire book to not caring and to completely caring about like everything, and seemingly giving his life.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, at the end of the book, and of course, I forget the end. In the book, they actually specify that he does get away, like he does in the game, right?
Dash?
Yeah.
He dies, right?
I don't think they specify that he.
I didn't remember if they did it or not too, but in the game they specify is like when it's exploding, he goes to light speed, so he fakes his own death. To get his to get the price off his head, so the Empire's not searching for him.
Yeah, I like to think he gets blown up.
Yeah, no, that's not in there.
He's got to pay for what he did to those Bothans.
It's very open-ended. Like, it alludes to the fact that Guri got away.
Well, there's a comic that I'm telling you right now. There's a comic. Brock, let's go.
What about it?
We're going to the comic shop in search of Boba Fett. Anyway,
even Xizor, like his thing blows up, but before that, last time you see him, he's thinking like, "Is this worth it? Should I stick around?" And that's the last time you see him. So he's
dead.
Yeah, very vague book.
I mean, he's not dead anymore because it's not canon.
Yeah, even when you I was looking up his section in Wikipedia as well, and the only thing that they mention after the fact is that there's some type of rumor in one book where it's like thought to be that Xizor was still alive at the end. But
Daryl, we've moved on to Shadows of the Empire. By the way, you can change the graphic.
That Xizor still survived, but then it's like they mentioned
Gory
that just
right
somebody
here?
else.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Guri, yeah, right there, yeah.
Yeah, I know who she is, James.
that looks like a blood smudge.
And let's not forget one character that gets barely anything in the book and gets a whole lot more in the game. Dash Rendar's faithful companion, Lebo.
Lebo, that's right.
Yeah, good old Lebo. The Chewbacca to Dash Rendar.
Yeah. Lebo.
Oh, there's a closer look
at
her.
She looks like 7 of 9 from
she looks like from Kill Bill, the main person.
Uma Thurman.
You know what? I'm the best at names, you guys. We should have a podcast.
I thought she kind of looks like Emma Frost a little bit too. From
yeah.
But here's something I don't understand. These are supposed to be like the most attractive man in the galaxy. What
the frick? Doesn't he give off like pheromones or something?
But
like
also
that?
they say he's very hot though. Like Leia's like, oh, he's so
I like your green skin.
Before he lets that off, Leia's like, oh, he's very attractive.
Yeah. Do you really think Disney would adapt all of that?
But the thing is, there's
a lot of sex in this book, guys.
Yeah, but there's not a problem.
More sex than Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, but it's not bad though. I mean,
yeah, it's not like
the thing that strikes me is that it's a fun story.
Mm-hmm. We're not reading 50 Shades of Rendar or anything.
50 Shades of Xizor. But it's a fun story and it makes sense and it's. I mean, here's the thing: is the time frame between Empire and Jedi is the one that they can exploit to no end, and I get why they would do it. But you could say the same, and I think that Clone Wars is probably canon because of the fan that there would have been a fan outcry. Like if they bought this in the '90s and they're like, "Shadows of the Empire doesn't exist," people would have made that canon back then. Mm-hmm. But I think, and also the Clone Wars, that's an era they don't want to touch. I think, and so they're fine with being like, yeah, Clone Wars is it because we never want to do that again, which I think is a mistake. But that's how they feel about it, and that's what I think about.
Yeah.
Well, if there was a TV show or something like that, I'm sure there would have been some type of outcry if there was a 2-season TV show that was basically Shadows of the Empire. That maybe something like that would have gotten more of an outcry. But like you said, it's just a book and the game.
And comics.
On comics, yes.
And toys.
Right. Yes.
I'd be willing to bet if that 1313 game ever got made, there'd be some Xizor up in that.
That'd be a good call. Here's a question for you. You guys had toys of this, correct?
Shadows?
I did.
I did not.
You didn't, but you.
I had the Outrider.
You had the Outrider. So
you had the Outrider? Amazing.
Yeah. So people had these figures. This is Luke, by the way.
Oh, what? Spoilers.
But anyway, so So people had these toys. And in the 90s, I would say a lot of Star Wars toys were Shadows of the Empire. How, like...
You know what? It came out when like the special edition came out, so they were re-releasing all the toys, the figures.
This came first, and then that one. This came in, and the special edition came. It was all.
Sorry. What I meant was they were planning that, and so they started re-releasing the figures because I had the figures when I was a kid.
Yes,
and they're not the original ones.
But what I'm saying with this though, with Shadows of the Empire here, is kids that were that age had these figures, and now these figures don't exist. And I think the figures is more than the books, because these are like people genuinely grew up loving Dash Rendar. They played this game. I don't know how, but they played it.
Duck.
No one ever. No, I don't think. I really want to know if anyone has beaten this game. Let me know, because I'm pretty sure
they have.
I beat it on hard. Yeah.
Oh, shut up!
I didn't do it on hard.
Yeah. I needed to see the
it's
the
Jedi actually.
It's
Jedi. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, so Rob's a liar. We know that. But anyway, no, this game came out. I remember how hard it was.
Yeah.
And it was just frustrating to me. And I was like, well, why isn't he Super Mario? You could have ducked there. I could have told you that. Anyway, so you didn't have the toys. You had the Outrider. How do you feel that? Well, the Outrider, it is in A New Hope. Call it what you want. It's in.
I want it to be in A New Hope. I'll agree with you.
Okay, they can say whatever they want, but the ship is in A New Hope. But how do you feel that ship is like that? Doesn't exist.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, in terms of action figures, there was a lot of action figures that got released for stuff like for comic books, and like, you know, there's like Revan figures that technically aren't really like.
There's a Mara J that came out around.
Well, that's a whole.
So, but yeah, in terms of figures, Shadows of the Empire got an actual proper like release with
they
everything.
treated it like a movie.
They did.
Yeah,
there was a soundtrack. We didn't mention there's a soundtrack for this thing.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name. I looked up.
It starts with an L, right?
No, I think it's John McClane. But he did the Last of the Mohican soundtrack. Like and now he's done a bunch of Tinkerbell straight to DVD stuff. But he's like a legit guy. Anyway, sorry, Rob. Go on.
So here's the funny thing is that I didn't actually when I was wanting to refresh my memory about this, I didn't read the book. I listened to the audiobook instead, because I just wanted a different experience in terms of that way. And the funny thing is that you can tell that they use some of the soundtrack, but there's other stuff that are just kind of poorly done, like really bad like music scores where it's like Xizor does something like, it's like, now my plan is coming to fruition. It's like dun 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 dun, pretty much just like that, right? It's those types of music scores, right? And like, it's funny that you're asking me about how to pronounce certain things. This is a poorly done audiobook, because there's a lot of things, like in addition to those sound cues, there's a lot of things that were mispronounced. I wrote down some of them. Bespin is Bespin. And Coruscant is Coruscant.
Was it George Lucas doing the audiobook?
No, I misremembered who was the name.
In fairness, though, if you would have listened to that in 1996 and you heard Coruscant, you would have no idea.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the one thing they could have gotten
I've been so maybe actually Coruscant. It can't be wrong, because George Lucas made what's the character's name who flies a ship in Phantom Menace? He goes, "That's Coruscant. The whole planet is one big city."
Rick Olier.
He's my favorite. He needs to be in every Star Wars movie, Disney. You have to bring him back, because anytime, like, imagine if he was in Force Awakens. That's Hosnian Prime. Yeah, he would be the best.
That's Hosnian Prime. Nothing's ever going to.
This is Tokonada.
A million years ago.
It sounds like he would be the Rick Flag of the Star Wars universe. It's like,
he was the best. I don't even care what anyone says. That's Coruscant.
Can I just say that Rick Flag in Suicide Squad Side Akbar looks a lot like Daryl Lewis?
Ooh,
Daryl, can you come here for a second? All right, he doesn't want to come here for a second. No. Brock, how are you doing in this game over here?
I'm good. I'm on my way to finding IG-88 in the junkyard.
This is the best level, too.
What level is this?
The junkyard.
He's using this thing as a battering ram or whatever.
Wampa Stomp.
That's the code. That's the code. So you unlock all the levels.
Oh, there you go, guys. If anybody wants to unlock a level, it's Wampa Stompa. And unlocks all the levels.
I believe that's what it was.
We've had this game for ages.
I forgot how you do it, but you can actually like play as like stormtroopers and ATSTs and stuff like that with that code.
By the way, on Battlefront, I finally I'm a Rhodian head when I'm a rebel now, and I'm a stormtrooper with the red patch.
Right.
So just so everyone knows, Battlefront 2 news came out this week. Single player is happening for sure.
Is IG-88 available?
No, and it's gonna be, but it's gonna span multiple eras. So it could be very interesting going on. But not Shadows of the Empire era. Imagine if Battlefront put Dash Rendar in it.
Oh.
You can't because it's not canon.
I have a question for Rob. Okay, so you've read the audiobook.
Yes.
You can't read an audiobook, Andy. Let's just...
You've experienced the audio.
I've experienced it, yes.
My question is about Xizor's voice. Because I'm really hoping, judging by how he looks on the cover of this book, I'm really, really hoping they made him sound like Billy Zane. Please tell me.
No, they did not. In fact, it was uncanny. If you were to listen to like
Billy
parts where
Zane.
he's... If you were to listen to parts of this and then was to watch Rebels afterwards, an episode with Thrawn in it, Thrawn and Xizor sound exactly the same.
Yeah, I can see that.
They sound like it's exactly like Lars Mikkelsen. Like they're similar in terms of voices.
Oh, you know his name now, but not on the trivia contest.
No. It's ingrained in my mind now.
With that accent and everything?
Yeah, very, very close. Very close.
Damn.
Like, but he talks like very slow, methodical, just like.
I like to think he sounds
Thrawn.
like George Takei.
George Takei.
That's Billy Zane. Drew Struzan drew Billy Zane's face.
Not in
That's
this
gotta
book.
be-
In this book, he
in
does
this book,
not
he's a
look like Billy.
monster.
And even in the video game, he does not look like Billy Zane.
In terms of the voice reader who's like reading the voices in this, the other one that he does very poorly and so weird, I already had a short discussion about it with you. Luke's voice in this, he sounds more feminine than Leia does in this thing. The voice that he puts on.
Can you give us
sounds-
an example?
Like he's 10 years old and like maybe like on the verge of becoming a woman, a girl.
Guys, can I interrupt you for a second?
And which one is
In the
that?
very bottom. Can you see that? Daryl, can you see what that looks like? That's
one are you
Leonardo
looking at?
DiCaprio as Dash Rendar. If anyone can see the bottom. What
outta
the
here.
heck? Look at that. That is Leonardo DiCaprio
Oh, wow.
as
That is
Dash
really close.
Rendar. Are you done?
No. It just seems like.
Oh, Brock
yeah,
is cameraman number 2. It's going up. It's a webcam, dude. We are the
And-
three best friends.
And the other voices that was confusing, especially when there was scenes where they would both be in the same scene. His Lando voice is the exact same as his Dash Rendar voice.
Oh.
So if they're having a conversation, I can't tell who's talking because
have
they're
you-
almost exact.
Brock, have you read the Lando comic?
Yeah, I have the first 3.
I-
And I got the signed by Charles Soule, the writer.
Nice. Here's something for you.
Yeah.
Lando's dialogue is written very well in Shazam. How is it written in the comic? Does it sound like Lando? Like when you read it, do you immediately go to Billy D. Williams?
Oh, yeah. He's slick, you know. It was a good. I think it only went for 6 or 7 issues because now Charles Soule is writing Poe Dameron. And I haven't seen it on the stocks in a while, but yeah, it was a fun. It was like he was up to hijinks. It's probably like, I bet when we see Han Solo, I should reread it and be like, yep, this is the same vein. So
I actually wrote something down here when I was reading Shadows, because it was a quote, not like a quote from Lando, but a quote about something Lando did that I just thought was the most hilarious thing in the world. So this is a quote from the book where it says, because the Falcon is breaking down and they're trying to get away. It says, Lando submitted in a colorful fashion that Han's ancestry was in question and that his personal habits left much to be desired.
what?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Is Lando in this book? Is it?
Oh, he's big
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I thought he was written very well. I thought they trusted him a little too much for being that soon after Empire,
Well, that
but
was-
it was cool.
That was an interesting thing near the beginning of the book when it was Leia's point of view and when she was talking about Lando is that they kind of changed in a way what happens in Empire Strikes Back, because she says that once she finds out that Lando was playing the Empire and not really turning on them, it didn't seem like that way. I don't know about you guys, that's what happened in Empire. It was like,
Well,
that-
at the end,
that
he does.
he does, but it never seemed like he was playing the Empire the whole time. It seemed to me
Look,
like
never underestimate the power of Lobot.
Yes. No, it just seemed to me like in that thing, it was, he realized he made a mistake when Vader kept changing, the deal, right?
Yeah.
He's like, pray, don't change it any further,
Yeah,
and so forth. It seemed like he was constantly changing it. That's what made him turn to say, okay, I gotta team back with Leia and them, because that's the only way I could possibly get out of this.
Whereas in this, they
That's
kind of allude that he was...
Yeah, in this, she full on says, it's like, hey, he was playing the Empire. And so, like, it seemed...
Well, maybe
it
he
seemed
told her
weird.
that.
Maybe,
Perhaps.
saving face.
Lando's
Perhaps,
kinda,
saving
yeah,
face. But then it's just kind of weird that Leia would just automatically just believe him. That that's what he was doing.
Well, she has to trust somebody.
Yeah, I guess
We've
so.
gone on too long. Okay, guys, I want to ask you something about Prince Xizor. Prince Razor, Prince Xizor.
Hey, that's the pronunciation that's in the book, so I might be wrong too.
I looked it up. Today.
So, what?
I looked it up. There, mostly it's Xizor. Or Xizor.
But it's
Scissors.
an X. That's how you do
Scissors.
xylophone.
It's Prince Billy Zane. Thank you.
Prince Billy Zane.
So what I want to bring up though is Thrawn was recently brought into Rebels, and now he is canon, and he's going to get his own book in April. The Dark Prince, Black Sun. Is this gonna? You guys think that we're gonna get a book? I don't think he's gonna show up in Rebels. I think Rebels is done. Do you think he's gonna show up in a book and possibly some other kind of something else?
Xizor?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I guess it's possible. To be honest, if I was to guess something, like, we were saying how Pablo Hidalgo's stance on Rendar is so strong. The thing I thought was that, because Rendar and Xizor are so linked, at least in terms of Rendar's backstory, that maybe, if Pablo Hidalgo could say whatever he wants, but if like the new Han Solo movie is extremely successful, and then Lord Miller all of a sudden say, hey, we want to do a sequel and we want to put Dash Rendar in it, in Han Solo's backstory, I'm sure that's a way that he would come in, and a way that Xizor could come in too.
That's a good point.
Dash Rendar has a great backstory of his own.
Yeah.
For the way the Empire treated his family. That is a fantastic story that I think that they are going to retcon that, and they're going to bring that into canon. It might not be Dash Rendar, but I think somebody is going to...
he's a Corellian, and so is Han, obviously.
I don't know why
So
they made him brilliant.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Could have made him. They should have made him a hammerhead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How awesome would that
Where's
have been?
Dengar from? Wherever Dengar's from.
He's from Liverpool.
From Liverpool. Okay.
Fucking Dengar. So Xizor, Brock,
Yeah.
is he going to show up? Are you going to read a book on Xizor?
Yeah, for sure. Actually,
Do you think he's too sexual for the new...
no, I know what I think. If he's going to come up, I think he'll be in a Han Solo movie. Because that's exactly what we need. We need an underbelly. It doesn't have to be Jabba, though. It would be great if we get to see more Jabba.
I think Jabba's showing up in Han Solo.
Yeah, but
he's
like,
not gonna be a
you
bad
just
guy.
throw him in the background, and then maybe later he can be your hero, baby. I don't know. But no, I think like all these characters we've seen, all these disreputable, scum of the villainy characters, we see in a movie like Han Solo. And I just fell off the train.
What is that, sludge?
Yeah, you're in the junkyard.
Oh, right, gotcha.
Garbage.
I'm not really paying attention to Wampa Stompa.
Wampa Stompa.
I think it'd be fun.
But yeah, it would be great. And would I read it? Yes.
Of course,
I
I
think
know
it'd be
you'll
great
read
in the
it.
comics too.
I think a comic is a great move. Let's move on now.
Yeah.
To something that I really, really want to talk about. I brought up to all of you. If you have this book at home, read along. Go to
Turn to page
go
106.
to chapter 23. And it's the 5th page in 23. It's like we're in church. Read the hymn.
Do I have to read with
2,
you? Is that why you're leaning in,
3,
trying to get a kiss?
tell me
4,
what page
5.
it's
Here
on?
we go. So 217 in the original version. So this stuck out to me greatly when I started reading
Oh,
it.
yes.
It's when Luke Skywalker is caught by a bounty hunter, and the bounty hunter is going to bring him. Who's the bounty hunter bring him to? Vader or Black Sun? I think Black
Vader.
Sun. Vader?
Yeah. Because they report to Vader and
No.
I thought the bounty hunters were hired by Xizor.
by Black Sun, and then Vader's going to go get him, and they find the bounty hunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So what happens is he gets taken. He's in like a prison cell, and they treat him okay in the prison cell, but he wants to escape the prison cell. So he's like, oh, I remember this thing that Obi-Wan Kenobi
Do you want to
did.
act out the scenes, good?
Not really, but we can if you want. So all of a sudden, I'm reading this, and this popped up because Luke became aware of the guard's feet hurt, blah, blah, that he needed to visit a refresher, that he was tired of standing here holding a blast rifle, watching him. Let's go. So then all of a sudden, Luke says, open the door. And the guard says,
Huh? Who's there?
you must open the door.
I
I don't know why he's British.
must open the door.
You must put down
It's
your
Daniel
rifle.
Craig too, right?
You must put down your rifle and open the door. Now.
I must put down my rifle. Open the door now.
And then Luke says, got him. But then he loses his focus, and the guard says,
What?
and then lost him. Concentrate, Luke. Open the door. Luke put the thoughts of victory and loss out of his mind. The only thing that mattered was the guard. Open the door.
Yes. Open the door.
The guard's key card slipped into the slot. The lock clicked. So it goes on, whatever. Well, then he tells him to take a nap.
Yeah.
So the thing that totally got me right away was REY in
Didn't
The
that
Force
guard
Awakens.
look a lot?
And it
like
was Daniel
James Bond?
Craig, actually. Yeah. That guard was it. No, but honestly, you read that and you, the house,
what
like
you think,
that
yeah.
is that a coincidence?
Cherry picking, baby. Cherry picking.
You think so?
Yeah, I
You think it's cherry picking? So
Maybe
here's
Lawrence
something else
Kasdan's
then.
a big fan of this. book.
Is he?
Maybe.
Oh, you have
I don't
no
know.
idea. His son is. He's writing Han Solo. So
Jake Kasdan.
but that is just so similar. And Rey is a Mary Sue. Is Luke a Mary Sue? Like, has everyone forgotten this? Nobody even knows. Everybody on the planet read this book in '96, and nobody remembered that.
Yeah, that's
watched The
crazy.
Force
I
Awakens.
love that.
It's not even like it's kind of similar. It's pretty much word for word at one point. It's like, put the
close,
rifle.
yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me? That is Rey's scene. I've seen this on film already.
Do you think that was an Easter egg for Shadows fans who
No.
No?
I genuinely think that it's a coincidence. But I also think that it's not a coincidence. I think it's a coincidence, but I think it's a crazy coincidence.
Even the circumstances of the capture, like Luke was being held to be taken to somebody more powerful, and Snoke was just saying, "Bring me the girl."
Maybe it was literally something that just like something that came into their mind when they were writing it, and like they didn't even know. It was just an influence, a subtle influence.
That's right. And
that
Brock,
they thought of.
I want to bring this over to you now.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay.
I'm back.
Going on your thoughts. Let's say they knew about this.
Yeah.
And Rey is waiting to see Snoke. Is Snoke a new incarnation of Xizor?
Scissors.
Scissors.
Xizor. Is he those
Save
like
your
a Xizor?
scissors.
Like, could Snoke be a new iteration of Xizor? Think about it. He's not. Let's say he's not, because apparently he has knowledge in the Force. So he's not exactly Xizor, but he's something similar, where he run this underground thing and watch the Emperor from afar, and maybe he's on the ship and he does get blown up, and that's how he gets all ugly. Because and also J.J. Abrams has said that Snoke was an attractive man when he was younger.
Okay.
Damn, James.
But he also said man, right?
Well, Xizor's a man though.
Well,
By the way,
just-
Brock,
a
Brock,
male
let
of
me
whatever
just say that
species.
This
Yeah,
character
whatever.
you're shooting at looks
Yeah.
incredibly underrated.
It's
Yes.
it's well, I'm shooting at nothing now. Where is he? It's IG8. But back to what James was saying. Possibly. I mean, yeah, they definitely have this like cunning about them. Like there's definitely, I mean, we don't know what Snoke's plan is, but like you're definitely there he is.
It's like the T-1000.
supplying the sound effects.
It's a possibility though. Like my gut reaction is that Snoke is not like Xizor. Like it's just their characters are so slightly different. Like in just like he's charismatic and Snoke is like, I'm a big giant hologram for.
Well, now he is.
Yeah, but like maybe whatever changed him to look like that is like scarred him and his personality to an extent, right? IG88 is hard to kill.
Yeah, he's impossible.
And that Zed thing is useless. It does work. You are right, but it is useless. I'm like I keep holding the controller thinking that I can direct if I do this when I
Like the Wii.
Quit living in the future, Brock.
Rob, could Snoke be any part of Snoke be borrowed from Xizor?
Snoke and
Snoke and Xizor. Smoke and a
Snoke and a
pancake.
pancake.
I guess it's a small possibility, some type of possibility. I like that better than. Actually, you know what? No, I think Lebo is probably Snoke. No, it's not it's not a horrible theory, but it's very unlikely. I think just the fact that they would adapt. Maybe it's possible because maybe if the Kazans were a fan of them, but I don't know if Kathleen Kennedy would in any way put such a semi-minor character as such a major character. In
But
this
it wouldn't matter
universe.
though. It's the backstory, right? It's
True.
taking the personality traits in the backstory. Andrew, what do you think?
I really like this, James. I think you stumbled on something here. It's if it is him, Lucasfilm would probably play it, and they'd be smart to play it this way, as not a big twist of a reveal, because so many people don't know who Xizor is. It would just be something mentioned passing, be like, I was once this crime lord, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Okay.
guys like us would be sitting in the theater, be like, oh my God, I know who that is.
I'll mic drop and walk out.
Yes.
And then you guys are like, by the way, James, he found out later that it's actually not him. It's
Yeah.
actually Rendar.
It's Gardula the Hutt.
Lebo.
But no, I like this a lot. This is
That's
interesting.
very cool. Yeah.
I mean, because the thing that JJ Abrams at one point said that Snoke was a very attractive man, and that seems to be forgotten. It's not even on the Wikipedia page. And I want to know, did I make that up? But I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure he said that. I gotta watch. Have you guys seen the commentary on the Force Awakens? Because we all bought.
still have not.
Yeah, I bought the original.
Yeah,
first
we
one.
all
Still haven't bought
we
the
all
new
were
one, no.
suckers and bought it when we were supposed to, and then didn't buy it when we should have got the 19 disc set. Brock, are you gonna get the 19 disc
Yeah.
set? Brock,
I'm waiting for my camera to come up. Yes, I
Yeah.
will buy the thing.
Daryl
This
is
game is hard.
Daryl left. He's playing NHL 17 right now. He's online. Can't you hear him? Thanks a lot, Daryl. By the way, we really appreciate
Thank
everything
you.
you do for us. IG88 is he's sprinkling. He's doing the sprinkle thing.
But to your point, James, there were two things that I noticed reading this book that I thought this could come into play later. One of them was a small thing where it was in this book and it was in the Thrawn trilogy, and that is space casinos.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Han Solo movie. We
Yeah,
gotta
no,
see.
we're getting it. We're getting a space casino, I believe, in episode 8.
For real?
For real. They shot in Croatia, and apparently some of the set stuff. There's rumors that there's space
Yeah,
casinos.
that's
so,
right.
Oh,
Because they're like wearing
damn.
tuxedos. And
Yeah,
it's
but
weird.
Han Solo,
Like,
I think you're 100%.
Oh yeah, we gotta see some. We gotta see some sabacc going on in there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the other thing that I noticed, and it was right there in the prologue, and this is something, especially with J.J. Abrams hovering around, this is something that I really want to see happen, and I think it's really likely. Is the prologue of this book is the conversation between Vader and the Emperor in Empire Strikes Back via hologram, and the Emperor has
yes.
Xizor
Yes.
sitting
I
right
won.
next to
I
him.
just killed IG88.
You show him, Brock. You underrate that droid. The Emperor's sitting right next to Xizor during that teleconference
Yeah.
call. Xizor's just kind of sitting there waiting for the Emperor to finish, and then he finishes, and he's like, "Sorry about that, Xizor." And I was like, "How cool would that be to see that happen? Like some kind of like in the next Star Wars story where it's like some new character is in the middle of something, and then some other character next to them and is like, oh, hold on. And they send out like some kind of message that we're familiar with. You know, we see something from whether it's the prequels, whether it's the originals, whatever, just a same scene from a different point of view. And Lost did that shit all the time. So if JJ is still on board there, I can totally see him kind of pulling one of those, be like, hey, Ryan, sneak this into episode 8.
Yeah, I think it'd be totally cool to see Snoke be
Oh,
there.
absolutely. And that's perfect.
But where do you tell that though?
That's the thing. I want to. Snoke seems like it's going to be a book, but I don't want to see that in a book.
No, it's got to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Imagine if like they just like literally do that and just fit Xizor into random scenes that happen in like canon stuff.
Man, that'd be
And it
really-
was just like, at the Death Star at the end of like the Battle of Yavin, he's just in a ship leaving the Death Star, and he could shoot down the Millennium Falcon, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
He just leaves. Because he thinks that he's gonna kill Vader in some type of way and doesn't. But yeah, I don't know.
Like
Just to do random stuff like
yeah,
that.
little things. Like
Yeah.
Vader gets in the elevator in Cloud City, and Lando says this deal's getting worse all the time, and he walks down
Like
the hall, and he walks up to like some guy who is Snoke now, and he's like,
Xizor is literally the Forrest Gump of this universe.
yeah,
He's at everywhere.
yeah.
Brock, how you doing over there?
I'm now invading Boba Fett's hangar.
When was the last time you played this game?
Probably in the 90s. This was not my favorite of the Star Wars games on N64.
No, we'll do more. We'll do a Star Wars. Star Wars.
I
We'll do a
think
video
this
game.
is like the longest I've ever actually played this game.
Yeah, I
Like in
like
first
this.
person, which is really
Oh, I was still on the ship. That's what was
Isn't
taking
it?
so long.
Isn't it weird how much this looks like Wolfenstein 3D and
Oh,
Doom?
it looks like
they all
Doom.
look the same
It
back
feels
then.
like Doom.
Very
But
square.
like Wolfenstein, like I don't know, like I have like maybe because it was like the first of those games, but like I could play that and feel okay with this. I'm like, no, this
Well,
could be better.
I like this looks like Battlefront now. What I just did earlier today. By the way, I played Battlefront on hard without trying to die on one of the missions.
we
I made
get
it to
it,
the,
you're
I made it to
Brad.
the last. I made it to the last level. 5 bad guys left, and the ATSD took me out. I forgot he was there, and he shot
Which
me
one,
with one
Tatooine?
shot. No, Hoth. I can't do that.
Oh,
The easy one. I was just like doing it, and then I died once I came back. But I beat your time, so I'm very, very thankful for that.
oh, yeah, okay.
By like 20 seconds, I was like, yeah, take that. Shadows of the Empire. Let's go back to this. So we're all on board that Xizor is going to be Snoke.
Leia kicked him very hard in the groin. That's got to cause some scarring.
Well, let's talk about something that we're going to start doing. I dropped the book. I'm drunk. We're going to be doing on this channel. We're going to do some votes of no confidence, which is like a versus series. This character versus this character. We won't spoil anything, but Xizor will be showing up at one point. You brought something. You wrote the first one now, and I want to know your stance on what you say in that. And I had a reaction to it. So tell me about that a little bit.
So basically, you want to know which of the two sides I agree with?
No, I want you your end game at the very last thing you write about what Xizor wants to do to Leia.
Oh yeah,
that's just maybe that is why this isn't canon.
Exactly, because the whole point of this was James said write sort of a point counterpoint. Who's better, Xizor or Thrawn? Why? Cite specific examples. Leave your answer on the line. So I did that. And then when it got to the point where it's like, okay, why is Thrawn bad and why is Xizor bad? The only thing I could keep going back to about Xizor, there were other points, but the thing I ended with was, guys, he tries to rape Leia. He tries to rape Princess Leia. That's a thing that happens in this book. That's a Star Wars on it.
Consent wasn't a thing in the expanded universe.
No, it was
not.
The consent is not canon, ladies and gentlemen. So, I like I said, Xizor was... That was literally, he fixated on sex, and specifically sex with Leia as soon as he became aware of her existence. So the thought of Disney making this canon word for word is really risky. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not condoning it, but when you think about it, like Jabba was trying to like force himself.
You're right.
But he's a slug and he doesn't say words, and you're like, oh, that's cute. He's got a tongue, but it's like, like that's
maybe that's why Xizor and Jabba are friends.
yeah.
That's what they share in common.
Well, I mean, I think what you have to think about is with these characters, they have to go against Vader and Palpatine, right? They're they can use the Force to do whatever they want. So how do you make a villain that tops that?
Yeah.
Apparently, he has to be handsy. That's yikes.
He wears like a terry cloth, or he wears kind of something where Leia sees him in it, and she's like, "That hides nothing. I can see his whole
He's
anatomy."
supposed to be super attractive.
I
yet
can
he has
see your
these
moons of
long
Alderaan.
nails here. Like, I feel like the guy who did the artwork for him and Steve Perry, the writer, didn't talk.
You know, it'd be interesting to seeing like a scene or something like written, like a volume, let's say, where it's Krennic and Xizor in some type of way interacting. Because they're like two of the ones that like don't like specific people within like high-ranking members of the Empire.
I would love to get more Krennic. I think we're done with him. But in a book or something though, that
because it never says like when Xizor exactly came into the Empire, but I think it's thought to be before,
and it doesn't matter because he's not canon anymore.
Right? No, I know, but
so Thrawn, they brought Thrawn in 30 years before he should have, or 10 years before he should have,
so he could come in whenever.
Yeah, they could be like, guess what? Xizor was in the prequel time.
Yeah.
He's on Coruscant.
And Xizor just shows up randomly on Rebels or something like that, and he's just getting really handsy with a Sabine or something.
If he touches Hera, I'm gonna sue somebody.
I want no more. I want no more of this on Rebels. I want Rebels to stay away.
That might be too much for Disney.
Look, Rebels is having its fun with Thrawn and all those other things. Just bring these into movies and books and whatnot.
I just picture like it happens on Rebels, and then the episode ends with a PSA. Like if someone tries to touch you in a place that makes you feel
it's like Saved by the Bell or something.
yeah. There's no hope with dope.
Oh my gosh. So Brock, how would you rank this book? What are your thoughts on this? Shadows of the Empire?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, it adds so much to this. Like what I loved about when I was a kid, it explained like where they got the Boosh costume, because Leia dresses like they all dressed up to screw with Black Sun. Like they all pretend to be bounty hunters. And then it's also, I believe, you get to see Luke make his green lightsaber.
Yes.
Isn't that like the beginning?
And that's also something that probably can't be canon anymore because of the way he makes it. He like boils the crystal. And what do they refer to? What do they call the crystal? They don't even call it a crystal. They call it
Yeah. Is it a jewel that they call it? No.
No, it's not a jewel. They say something. Yeah.
Like there's always been a stone in there.
Yeah.
That was
Rob, I
always
found your
understood.
bookmark. You made it to page 46 before you called it
At
quit.
one point, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember what he calls it, but he does it at Ben's house. R2.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And he almost blows himself up. That's the best part. I would love to. Here's another question that I want to throw at you. We'll start with Rob. Rob, give me the answer to this one. Would you be okay with a movie or Netflix series or something coming out that took place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, starring Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, frozen in carbonite? Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe right before that.
You just frozen.
Listen, Millie Bobby Brown as Millie Bobby Brown. I'll say that without mumbling, as Princess Leia. Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker.
Whoa! You're like all over the place with actors.
Making my dreams come true, James.
This is just a thing. And 1997 released Jabba the Hutt as Jabba. But would you be on board if they did all of that? Donald Glover as Lando and whatnot. If they did a story like this, but recast all those parts.
Recasting would be extremely hard. I think just recasting all those roles, we don't even know how Alden Ehrenreich's gonna be, to be honest, as Han Solo. It
doesn't matter. He's frozen in carbonite at this point.
Well, okay.
So
but either way,
Ford.
then you're recasting all those other roles, and that's such a difficult thing, and especially even possibly even suggesting that so soon after what happened with Carrie. I mean, even thinking about recasting Leia is just something. That's
we're recasting her from 30 years ago, though. We're not recasting her in episode 9.
I know, but if anything, I would say do more of a a similar thing to what Marvel's doing right now with Spider-Man, where they're doing an animated movie. That's just completely separate from it. If they did an animated movie in some type of style, had someone take control of it and just did that instead, I think people would be more open to having different voices as the characters.
But do you think
something like that would be easier to do? And I think it just the fact that you're recasting so many characters all at the same time could be hard for a lot of fans to swallow. And I think that'd be the case with a lot of it.
Brock, do you think that if we believe in the new Han Solo and the new Lando and the new Jabba from 1997, would you buy into a story taking place around that time?
Isn't that what the next movie is going to be? When Han is
it
frozen
shows
in
on the
carbonite?
Empire movie or
Oh yeah,
but with a new cast playing because Mark Hamill's too old and
I would this to deal with the age or deal with the character actors. Like a CG movie, like Rob just said, that'd be good, or an animated movie, that'd be sweet. I mean, think of Xizor, animated would look awesome.
But you won't get the audience though.
I don't know. I think you'd be surprised on what people will watch.
You're gonna get the diehards, but you're not gonna get the casual fans as much though, because when it's a cartoon, they're like, it's a cartoon, and it doesn't matter to your parents if it's canon. It matters that it's a cartoon.
But ask yourself this: if Han Solo is a success, wouldn't you kind of say, "Oh, you could basically do anything"?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm doing.
There's a story to be told that they did in between Empire and Jedi. And I'm just saying, Andrew, should they tell the story with a new cast? Do you have a problem with that?
Yes.
Andrew's not invited back.
Whatever happens between 5 and 6, I always just kind of assumed it would be a book or maybe a comic. A comic, you got the best of both worlds. You can see them. They can make them drawn as young as they want. And I want the Star Wars stories to move away, to give us little bits and pieces of what we know, but for the most part, give us a whole bunch of new stuff, because remember, we want to buy new toys and stuff too. And if it's all just like Leia again, Han again, then it's like, well, I already have that toy.
But you don't have Dash Rendar.
That's right.
Or Luke in this outfit. Well, we do, but
that's the only, a book or comic is the only way that I can see it being even animated doesn't, I'm a big fan of Ninja Turtles, but when back in 2007 when they were like, there's a new Ninja Turtles movie, guys, and it's a cartoon, I was like,
it doesn't grab you because it's a cartoon. that's what I'm saying. I personally, I don't have a problem with it. I'm like, if they throw it at me, I'm gonna eat it up anyway. It doesn't matter. As long as the cast is good, it doesn't really matter. These are characters. They're fake people. Like, it doesn't exist. You know, this person might represent this person, but I mean, if somebody else can pull it off, they can pull it off. It doesn't matter. Rachel in the Batman movies. Yeah. They went from Katie Holmes to Katie Holmes 2.0. What's her name? Maggie Gyllenhaal. And then she got blown up, and it was really sad. And you still felt it. Anyway,
I felt everything.
That's just how I feel. I think Shadows of the Empire is a fantastic book. Everybody should read it. I think it should be canon. To an extent, you know, it's a good story. It's fun. It's one of the most fun reads of the Legends era. Speaking of Legends era, what?
I was just gonna say, you know what it feels like, because you mentioned the word fun. It feels like a Spielberg movie. It feels like if Spielberg had made a Star Wars, it would be this.
It's amazing how much fun it is, because I've read other Star Wars books and they just don't they don't hit like this one just hits. And I don't even know, has Steve Perry done another Star Wars book?
I don't know.
I don't even know. Okay, here's a question. Final question before we go to top 5. Brock, if they do Shadows of the Empire Redux, a new book taking place in this era, do you want Steve Perry to come back much like they did with Thrawn? Do you want that to happen?
Yeah, I think they should. I mean, this book was great even back then. Like, so I think you could do it or you could not do it, and then new readers wouldn't care. But I think it'd be a nice like tip of the hat to all of us. So, you know, he thought up. Well, I don't know. Did he think up all these things, or was he told, okay, use this kind of character and this kind of character, or is it just like, tell us what happens between these two movies?
Yeah, I think there might have been more of that. And then and he had the planets run down and all of that. I totally would be fine with it. Steve Perry, I mean, they're doing it. Timothy Zahn's doing Thrawn. They're giving him his due. I don't know if this is as big as Heir to the Empire now, but I know when this came out. I remember I was 15 years old when this came out, and I remember seeing trailers on TV and stuff like that. And I remember it was such a big deal, and everybody read this book. And then a year later, the releases of the movies came out, and then after that, the Phantom Menace. And it was like this 1-2 punch before the prequels came, and we were all ready for it, and we we're all very excited for it. And so I don't know. I mean, it'd be totally cool.
So I did look it up. In terms of books that he's read that he's written solo, this is the only one. But he's also co-written with Michael Reeves, MedStar 1 Battle Surgeons. I don't know what that is.
What?
MedStar 2 Jedi Healer and Death Star.
What?
So yeah,
he wrote Death Star. So Andrew, Steve Perry, Shadows of the Empire.
Did you say
Redux.
MedStar or Death Star?
Death Star was the last one, but MedStar were the first two.
Oh, okay.
MedStar 1
Jedi
and 2.
Healer.
Sorry, what was your question, James?
Steve
Battle
Perry
Surgeons.
Rewriting this.
Absolutely, get Steve Perry back.
Just to write anything.
Just if they do Shadows again, get him back, because that shows that they're respecting him.
Yeah.
Faithfully, which is a song written by Steve Perry.
Rob,
It all closes.
Rob,
Yes.
Steve Perry. Should he write another?
I mean, if he's open, I don't even know if he's working. Like this is just off of Wikipedia again. Apparently, this is what my phone defaults to. Just goes to Wikipedia.
They all do.
Anyway, yeah. If he's still writing, if he's still actively writing books and stuff like that, yeah, why not give him a shot?
Right.
Get him to write something.
All right,
Xizor book.
Right before we move on to our top 5 and end the show, I do want to say Shadows of the Empire was one of the original titles or rumored titles for The Force Awakens, so maybe that's a chapter with Luke Skywalker using it was not so much of a coincidence. Anyway, moving on. Top 5 Legends books. These are books that are no longer canon, that are legend. My number 5 is The Truce of Baccarat. The Truce of Baccarat is a book, and I don't really remember much about it, but it was the very first Star Wars book I was ever given. I believe it takes place right after...
It's right after.
Yeah, right after Return of the Jedi, and I was very excited about that when I got it. It said that on the back of the book. I got it as a Christmas gift from my grandmother, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. And I'm going to recommend it because it was cool to see. Brock, your number 5.
My number 5... And maybe people don't know this, because there was 2 different things. There was young reader, like a young adult book, and then there was like a sort of younger than young adult book about the Solo kids. There was one about Anakin Skywalker, which was the youngest, and then there's a series about Jason and Jaina Solo, and then something happened to the video game. Anyways. So that was cool because they all had the Force, so they all go to Luke's Jedi Academy. So it's like you got this real taste of like what happens. Like I think Jason and Jaina have a their friend is Lobaka, which is Chewbacca's like nephew, and then the younger version with Anakin, his friend is this like blonde girl, but she's a Tusken Raider, but she doesn't wear the stuff.
Oh, wicked!
And she likes, and they're it's all on Yavin 4, so she walks around barefoot. She's like, it's like there's no sand here. That doesn't say anything about sand, but I always stuck out. I was like, she went barefoot because it's like the stones of the temple are cool, and she's like, this is great. This is not Tatooine.
Rob, you're number 5.
My number 5. I mean, just to start off, I have not read that many non-canon book, Legends of books. So there's gonna be some really big ones that are gonna be missing from my list because I just not have read them yet. But anyway, my number 5 is one that I just wanted more of, and that's Darth Maul Shadow Hunter. So it came out like not too long after Phantom Menace, and it was literally like, oh my god, Darth Maul is awesome. I gotta get me more Darth Maul, and I got this book just so I could get more Darth Maul. And it's literally a book where Darth Maul can be the main character, and it's like if Palpatine gave him that mission in Phantom Menace, and it's just about him doing this mission. That's all it is. That's pretty much all it is. It's him and another Jedi Padawan, are the other main characters, and it's basically him hunting down this Jedi Padawan, and you get to see Darth Maul be a badass still again. And spoiler alert, it doesn't go well for this Padawan.
Andrew.
My number 5 is the Jedi Academy trilogy by Kevin J. Anderson. I think they were like a sequel to the Thrawn trilogy. It was about Luke and Mara Jade teaching kids on Yavin, and it was that kid Kip Durin. Do you guys know who that is? Do you know what I'm talking about? He was like this like surfer dude looking guy, and Han finds him in the spice mines of Kessel, and he's like really, really strong in the Force, and they recruit him, and long story short, he turns to the dark side and goes apeshit. But it was good. It was a trilogy of Jedi books. So.
You can never go wrong. Rob, your number 4?
My number 4. Just give me 1 second. Oh,
I just want everyone to know I'm not going. Shadows of the Empire will not be on my list. I've decided not to put it on my list because this episode is all about Shadows. Obviously, I love Shadows of the Empire. I just want everyone to know that that's why it's not on my list.
Well, number 4 is Shadows of the Empire for my list. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the whole time. It's a cool book. It's a cool, like, nice little wedge in between the movies. Like, no. It's a nice little prologue to between the movies. Like it's a great fitting in thing to fill in holes, and like you said, like you get so many little things. Like it's not canon anymore, obviously, because that's what this list is. But if it was still canon, you'd get reasons as to why things are like the way they are in Return of the Jedi. So yeah.
Brock, 4.
Number 4 for me, I just had it in my head and I forgot. Oh God, what was it? Go to someone else. I had it in my head.
My number 4 is Heir to the Empire. What?
Oh, wow.
That's so low on the list, or high on the whatever. Yeah, the reason is because it came out around a time where I didn't really read the Star Wars books too much, so it doesn't have that place in my heart like it does so many other fans. I do love it. It's great. I mean, it's a list of stupid. I mean, it's a stupid list. I'll read them all. So that's the reason it's my number 4 is because it's a fantastic book. It's a great book. It's probably the best of them all. But it's my number 4 because of what it means to me. So there you go. Brock, can we go to you now or no? Andrew, number 4.
I remember now, but don't go to me.
My number 4 is Darth Plagueis because I like Sith Lords and they're cool. And this one has a lot of them in it. Almost too many.
Almost too many.
It's
too
very
many Jedi.
If you like Game of Thrones or Sopranos and you like Sith, read Darth Plagueis.
James
it's
Luceno.
Exactly that. James Luceno is the man. Bring Plagueis back. Hashtag Plagueis.
Well, he is canon.
That one's pretty much at the top of my list for ones that I want to read. Like,
can we go over to you now?
Daryl, get my camera ready.
Get ready for
Rock,
a close-up.
Smink,
Okay, I'm ready.
what is your number 4 Legends book?
My number 4 is the Han Solo Chronicles because it's always the one I brought up before where I listened to it on an audiobook and it scared the hell out of me because Chewbacca says Han, Han. I'm like, oh!
The Adventures of Han Solo is my Daryl. The Adventures of Han Solo is my number 3. So anyway, continue yours.
Number 3 for me would probably be the Rogue Squadron. Like, I don't have a specific title because it kind of expands the expanded universe and the comics. There's quite a bit. Like a lot of the Dark Horse did a lot of stuff with that, and I haven't read. There's like so much that I haven't read on it, and I think the popularity of that is what gave them the idea of like, hey, we could do Rebel. We could do Rogue One, which is not really the same kind of story, but the idea of like the soldiers are more important than the main characters. So,
Yeah.
Andrew?
My number 3 is Shadows of the Empire.
Oh! Why did we do a whole episode on this when nobody's number 1?
Yeah, I don't know. Mine in terms of this, I don't know if it's the same one as you, but mine was X-Wing Rogue Squadron, and it was a book where it was about pretty much Wedge was one of the main characters, and it's pretty much, if you want a selling point, it's pretty much Top Gun, but the Rogue Squadron guys.
Yeah,
it's literally Wedge has his co-pilot. There's a Val Kilmer like character and everything, and
Named Iceman.
Take my breath away. It plays during.
I wish.
Andrew, what's your number 2 Legends book?
My number 2 is the Thrawn trilogy. I didn't feel right kind of splitting up because as much as I like those 3 books, I find that they don't really have individual identities. Like when you think of Jedi, like it has its own identity. When you think of Attack of the Clones, it has its own identity. But those 3 books just kind of feel like one story, and he cut it up. Like I couldn't really differentiate one from the other.
It's like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So the Thrawn trilogy is my number 2.
My number 2 is the Dark Lord trilogy. That's the Vader one, where it's Vader, Reg of the Sith is in the middle.
Yeah.
I love Vader. Moving on.
Mine is Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth
Damn
Vader
it!
as well. So specifically that one, and the cool part about that one is that it can be in some way almost treated as a prequel to Lords of the Sith.
Yeah.
In a certain way, because it's literally Vader just, wrecking stuff. Like in a similar way, it's similar to the Darth Maul one, where he's sent out on a mission by Palpatine, except this one it's take place like almost directly. I forget how long. It's like almost directly right after Revenge of the Sith. So he's still kind of coping towards having little to no limbs and just getting used to the entire thing. But he's still at the same time extremely badass. Like you get to before the times you get to see him do the crazy stuff that he does in Lords of the Sith, but to just a different extent.
Yeah.
Brock, your number 2?
I'm gonna agree with Andrew and go Thrawn trilogy. Now I'm trying to remember which is which. I know Heir to the Empire. Is that the first book in the Thrawn trilogy?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the record, mine was the Thrawn trilogy. When I said Heir to the Empire, I just called the whole thing Heir to the Empire.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Heir to the Empire. Yeah. So like we get introduced to Thrawn, who's this crazy cool character. We get introduced to Mara Jade, who then becomes a huge part of the expanded universe. And I don't think it's the first time, but it feels. Is it one of the first trilogies that came out for the expanded universe? I feel like it was one of the earlier ones.
Yeah,
Probably,
so it was like it was the
one
first.
came out in 91. So what was it?
Yeah, like so it was like the first time we're like, oh, this is kind of like this could be a movie. I'm sure like when it came out, people were like, this could be a movie.
This was the first resurgence that Star Wars had. Star Wars was a thing, and then it kind of stopped being a thing, and then this came back and made it a thing again, and then it stopped being a thing.
Yeah.
And then Shadows came out and it became a thing, and now it's pretty much stayed a thing since then.
And we get to see Bothans, or we get to read about Bothans, and then Leia goes in the first book goes to Kashyyyk, and you find out that Wookiees can kind of talk. Yeah. So that's it.
All right, Rob, you're number 1.
Heir to the Empire.
Oh, damn.
Oh, la la.
Leave it there. I think we've said our everything. It's so cool that you get the introduction to Thrawn and Mara Jade in this book, and just get that Mara Jade and Luke dynamic that you get throughout the rest of the book series. So it's pretty awesome.
Andrew?
Okay.
Oh, great. Brock, can we go to you for number 1?
Yeah.
I'm really nervous about Andrew's number 1 right now. God, it's going to be one of those.
Did the little
it's
guy
going to be
have a
Star
book?
Wars and yarn. You know
From
those
Clone Wars?
or Daddy's little girl, the Vader. Anyway, Brock, number 1.
I want to piss you off and say Shadows of the Empire, because it surely is one of the best expanded universe. I think it's one of the things that hooked me on. Like, you could read about this movie series you love. Yeah. But I will go the other way, because we already know I think it's great. And I'm going to go with the comic book series. I believe it was Star Wars Republic, where... So this is after we get the prequels, and we've met. It's probably between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So we get to see more of the Clone Wars. I think even before Clone Wars was a show. And this is also where we meet Quinlan Voss for the first time. I know now that might not be exactly accurate, but it's the first time I read of him, and I was like, this is sweet. So, and they've put him in canon, like he's in some of the Clone Wars episode, like one at least, right? Yeah. That was really cool, and it really, I think it was one of the first places where they expanded on what the world or the universe was like outside the movies.
My number one is a Darth Maul Shadowhunter or any freaking book with Darth Maul in it. The Darth Maul comic came out on Wednesday. Brock, we picked it up.
Yeah.
We might do a review.
We held
on it.
hands.
Well, we held hands the whole time because I was so excited. Anyway, Shadowhunter, I really like Shadow. I like reading all the Darth Maul books. He's actually a very interesting character, very unique.
Have you read the comic?
I read the comic in 13 seconds. It's very short.
Yeah, it is.
I love the way they threw. We'll do a review on it, but I love the way they threw in Rathars.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, guess what? They exist, and other than that, and they look way better in the comic than they do in the movie. But that's my number one. Andrew, hit us with your number one, please.
It was so hard to stay quiet earlier, but my number one is literally MedStar 1 and 2.
What?
I swear to God.
What? Tell me about this book. What is it like?
I'm so...
I have never heard of this.
It's real. They're the Clone Wars novels. They were like they came out with 6 of these that were called a Clone Wars novel, and this was a 2-parter. And basically, it was basically MASH in Star Wars. It was this group of
Alan Alda?
It was just this group of people who worked on a medical facility that healed clone troopers.
MedStar.
And it was on this weird planet, and all they did was like injured clones got brought to them, and they healed them, and it was tucked away on some weird world so that the Separatists could never find them. But the whole plot of these 2 books were you're introduced to, I think, like 8 or 9 characters, and they're all cool characters, and then you find out like a third of the way through the first book, one of them is a Separatist spy, but it doesn't say who. Like they have like a code name. I think the code name is like Lens or something. So for these whole 2 books, you're like, who the hell is Lens? And you're getting so invested in what their story is. And a couple of Jedi, I think like the girl from Clone Wars, who spoilers, the Jedi
Ahsoka,
who turns against them.
Ahsoka.
Barriss Offee.
Oh, okay.
She is in that book, and her master Luminara. They come and they visit, and they try to figure out what's going on. But basically, you're just following these 8 characters, and like the whole time you're just, okay, there's one of these people is going to turn on the other. Who the hell is it? And it got really intense. And I just remember getting emotionally invested in these books.
Well,
all right. Well, that now I want to read MedStar 1 and 2.
Crazy.
I don't want to read 3 through 6, but 1 and 2 I definitely want to get my hands on. Steve Perry, thank you very much for entertaining us with everything. Also, everybody, thank you very much for watching us, for subscribing to us, for listening to us, and making us a part of your day. It means a lot to us. It's fantastic. Speaking of your day, we've taken up too much time of your day right now, I'd say. We had fun talking about it. We hope you had fun listening to it. Brock?
Yeah.
That's our show. May the Force be with all of you.
Wait, I'll wait for it. Take that camera. Always.
See you guys.
Bring up the audio of this.
Stop recording.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.